Greg, I understand from your scribblings to me that you have a track for me to listen to.
My scribblings. Yes, my scribblings through the email. Yeah, okay.
Say the
I actually
scratchings in
use
the dirt.
Scribble. I know. I actually purposely use Scribble font. Yeah, just to make it scribbly.
It's showtime, folks.
Hey, everybody, and hello, good evening, and welcome to another episode of Into the Music. I'm John, he's Greg, and when we get together, it's wider. No,
It's shenanigans.
Shenanigans. Greg, I understand from your scribblings to me that you have a track for me to listen to.
My scribblings. Yes, my scribblings through the email. Yeah, okay.
Say the scratchings
I actually
in
use
the dirt.
Scribble. I know. I actually purposely use Scribble font. Yeah, just to make it scribbly. The Cars.
Ah,
Yeah.
the Cars, yeah.
Yeah.
I know bits and pieces of the Cars, steering wheel mainly, but
This is off their fantastic debut album, The Cars. But it's one of those songs that kind of got, overlooked by the masses, I think. But I love it. It's called I'm in Touch with Your World.
okay.
So,
No, I don't think I'm familiar with it.
okay. So get in touch with it and let me know how it felt.
You can tuck it on the inside. You can throw it on the floor. You can wave it on the outside, like you never did before. You get the diplomatic treatment.
Okay, there's something weird going on here. There's quite a sparse song so far. It's quite a nice beat to it. I really like his vocals. They're very quintessential new wavy American sort of vocals. It kind of reminds me of XTC. I'm sure this is probably before XTC, so perhaps they were influenced by this. And there's all these, it's quite expressive percussion going on, and then these other weird noises as well, and those long extended whistles and other stuff. Yeah, slightly odd, but not unpleasant. Let's see how it goes.
You get the Boston future. You get the funk after death. Get the wise and mind brainstorm. I'm in touch with your world. So go to try to hide it. I'm in touch with your world. And nobody's gonna buy it. It's such a lovely way to go. It's such a lovely way to go. I'm relying on you fellas.
That's sort of basic. Dun, 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 dun. It kind of like a shorthand for it's a sort of sounds you'd make for something that was a clockwork movement, or some sort of robotic movement almost. I really like the guitars that came in. They were big, expansive, and then there's got this squealing riff guitar going on, sort of left of center stage, or right in my ear. That's really cool. This is definitely quirky. Definitely quirky.
You keep talking about the weather. I'm still a silent pony. You're a fifth and dagger phony. It's a sticky contradiction. It's a thing you call creation. Everything is science fiction, and I ought to know. I'm in touch with your world, so don't you try to hide it. I'm in touch with your world, and nobody's gonna buy it. It's such a lovely way to go. It's such a lovely way to go. I'm in touch with your world. I'm in touch with your world. I'm in touch with your world. I'm in touch with your world.
That was really fun and quirky, as I said, and really enjoyable because of all the shenanigans going on. It sort of kept you alert and thinking, what the hell's going to happen next? Yeah, that was really cool. I like that a lot. Okay, let's see what Greg has to say for himself.
Hey, are you done feeling the Cars world? What do you think?
Oh, well, I mean, if we were playing word bingo, there'd be the first word that you'd write down that you know I'm going to say, and that is quirky. I mean,
Yeah.
it really, really was.
Yes,
Um,
because all the
I'll,
sounds, all the. But
I
I'll
will.
stop. Yeah.
I'll cut to the chase here rather than going round. Despite myself, I liked it. All right, I did like it, and actually, it became more and more sort of catchy and worked on me as it went through. That his voice. I mean, I've heard bits and pieces of them, but it's Rick, isn't it, the singer guy?
There's actually two singers, and that's
Yeah,
a pet
yeah.
peeve of mine when it comes to the Cars and what everyone thinks everything is Rick Ocasek, and there's another guy too. But yeah, on this
Yeah.
song, I believe it is Rick Ocasek. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's the blonde guy who sings like
Benjamin
Drive, isn't
Orr,
it?
and he's got some amazing songs that he's done
Yeah.
that he did on the Cars, and then he had a solo career, and he was fantastic. He had that big solo hit that was here in the United States. Who's gonna drive you home
Yeah.
tonight? Yeah, and that's a great song. I don't know how much airplay it got in the UK, but from like maybe late '80s, I think. But anyway, back to this was Rick definitely
Yeah,
singing on the song.
So he's really notched up the new wave vocals here even more than what I've heard previously. I mean, it's
Yeah.
really, really sort of, and I'm thinking, because I kind of know a little bit about their first album was 70s, isn't it?
1978. Yep.
Wow. So it's quite, I mean, that's right at the edge of it, sort of thing. They're quite ahead of the rest of the pack than making this sort of sound.
Yeah. In the United States, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
Although,
so yeah, it was really,
although wait, but television, I think, right? Television's a United, I think it's a New York band,
yeah.
and
But
they
I mean-
hit it in 77, 78, but they didn't have the same kind of popularity. And I'm
No.
wondering but they were around right at the time as the Cars were getting going. The Cars got going in 1976. This album came out in 78. and it doesn't take that long for musicians to be influenced by other musicians. You're hearing things. You go into some of the same clubs. The record companies, the whole thing. Sounds are being sort of like flown around and stuff. So it's just really interesting
Yeah,
that
maybe.
there's a little bit of that kind of television
Mm.
sound that they sort of there's
Yeah,
a
I
little
mean,
bit of
slightly the vocals. Yeah, I mean, I would say I could be totally wrong, but I'm thinking Television were a real New York band. You had to be in New York, and CBGB's really,
yeah yeah
which I guess they would have hung around there if they've not played there. And I think it was known musically that to
And
go there and
Boston's not
see.
that far away, but no, I get what you're
Yeah.
saying. And I just want to be clear too,
It's-
and then I'll shut up because I know you want to talk. But I'm also talking about just this first album.
Yeah,
Because then the second album's Candy O, and that had some good
Mm.
stuff. And then after that, they just totally brought into the whole pop thing. And
yeah.
what they were doing after was, it never, yeah. This
But-
first album though that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That kind of sound.
But they chose to make a living. So fair enough. People get really bitter about bands who suddenly go down the pop route, and but these guys, they're going to provide for their families and stuff. So if they do that to earn the money to buy the hat, we're not talking about Rolls Royces and swimming pools here. We're talking about food on the table for your kids. So you can't blame them. It does suck when it's your favorite band that does it. But
Do you really think that though? Do you really think that they went the pop route because they want to put food on the table? I mean, I think they were doing pretty. I mean, this album, I'm sorry. I mean, I'm cutting because this is something I would normally do on down the road. But I mean, 1978, this album stayed on the Billboard 200 album chart for like 139 weeks. Rolling Stones, they were voted in the poll, Rolling Stones poll, 1978 best new artist. This album still is talked about to this day as being one of the great debut albums of all time. I mean, almost every song is fantastic, and most of them actually got airplay, except this one and a couple others too. But it's an amazing album, and Candy O didn't do that so bad afterwards too. I don't know if they were just doing it for, I think it's kind of like that Styx thing, where Styx was a rock and roll band, had a rock sound. And then after a few albums, it was, the lead guy wanted to kind of go down this route of sort of pop, and you either come with me or you don't. And I really think that's what it was. You almost you hijack a whole entire band, because that's the route that I want to go down. But anyway, I digressed.
Yeah, I think the golden rule is when you get huge sales, is 99% of it goes to record companies. The artists, they make their money from playing live and doing stuff. The records, particularly now, they get sod off and streaming or whatever. So yeah. Anyway, we digress. This song starts off, it's really simple, the sound. It starts off with this great expressive percussion, all little bits and pieces here and there of traditional percussive sounds. And then one by one, there's this junkyard of weird noises carrying on, and it surprises you. So there's like a whistle, there's one of those elongated, not like a Swanee whistle, but something like that.
Yeah.
There's like, I have to describe it in contemporary terms. There's something that sounds like a Casio beep, the little Casio keyboard machines. There's breaking glass. There's that percussive instrument. I don't know what it's called, but I call it the frog spine, because you used to get wooden frogs go on the spine. And it's one of those doing that. There's this weird saxophone that sounds normal it sounds weird at first and sounds normal for a little bit, then goes absolutely strangulated and weird again. I don't know what they're doing. There's these wonderful pizzicato strings that go dum, dum, dum. And then there's another that sounds like early Space Invaders. I don't know what that noise was. I mean, it's great. And it kept it, actually, it could have been easily very annoying, but it didn't. I wasn't annoyed at all, and it actually kept me interested and like almost not on the edge of your seat, but you are, I wonder what's going to happen next. This is so strange. The start of the first bit, in some ways, we were talking about bands and stuff, it actually reminded me a little bit of XTC, early XTC.
Oh, wow.
And I don't know which one, because they would have been about the same time.
That's interesting.
XTC
Yeah.
were in the charts in '79. No, they'd have been going a year or two before then.
Wow.
So
That's actually brilliant. Like you just came up with that. I could definitely see that. Yeah, that connection.
yeah, early
Similarity.
ecstasy, really.
Oh
early,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, and again, it's that eccentric,
Yes,
eccentric. Sorry, it
yes.
is that oddness, which is cool, which almost makes it. I mean, it's unmistakably it's American, but it almost has an English feel to or British feel
Yeah.
to it in a way it's a bit odd.
Which I want. One of the reasons why I have to admit I wanted to give this to you. It's actually one of my favorite sort of hidden track songs from this band.
Yeah,
But I also thought like, I don't know. Yeah, I thought, oh my God, this is like, this has a chance because I think I
'cause it's
really wanted
British. Yeah.
no, and I really wanted to get your opinion about it because it does to me. It has that really sort of British handprints, fingerprints all
Yeah, yeah.
over it. But what about the guitar? Because I also
Yeah,
think too that you
so-
can get as quirky as you want, but you have to have some sort of anchor. To me, that might be the guitar. What do you think?
Yeah, so you have this, guitar going, and then the chorus comes and it picks up and opens out, and there's this really expansive, beautiful guitar briefly, and then it curtains back in. So it's almost like like you see on films where there's a rocket and they burn a bit of fuel to keep them going. It's like that burn of this guitar,
Right.
and then you're back, but the guitar's there again, but it's more sort of squealing now, and it's riffs. And then they keep panning left and right, and
Yeah.
all this messing around. And there's like a strangled brass panning effects left and right as well. And it's just really interesting. And it has all the elements for me to think this is a pretentious load of old claptrap and I hate it. But actually, I just liked it more and more as it went along, and it charmed me. It really did. And towards the end, I think I said in the reaction, it became almost the rhythm got to me, and it felt like a clockwork rhythm, almost like machinery or a
Yeah.
robot. The ding, 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 ding,
Yeah.
and it was certainly like any car song I've heard. And the lyrics wise, I didn't really pick up much, but there's bits and pieces, but there's one line that really stuck up to me was it says something about flick fandango phony, which I thought was just fandango stuck out to me, but I thought it was brilliant, but I didn't get the lyrics, so I don't know what it's about.
I don't know if I have them queued up. I don't think I gotta see. But yeah.
But I'm in touch with your world can mean all sorts of things. I don't know in the 70s. If I was to hazard a guess, I would 9 times out of 10 you can say it's drugs, and you're probably right. So I would guess it was something weird to do with that.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe I'll pull them up. But it might just be a really cool sort of catchphrase line. I'm in touch with your world.
It's almost like a therapy line, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. And that plotting thing, or that sort of like that kind of like sort of repeat thing kind of thing. I've always likened this song to almost like you ever see the Batman TV show? With Adam West, right?
Yeah, the old
And
60s one.
yeah, the TV show, and where those times where actually Batman and Robin would be climbing the building, and it would be kind of like, and they'd be going up, and it was always like this really kind of, and then all of a sudden, as they're sort of passing a window, somebody, it would be someone like Sammy Davis Jr. something. What are you doing here? They're like, oh, sorry, sir. And it was like it was wacky, it was wild.
and it was
kinda,
clearly.
yeah.
That they're walking along normally and they've just turned the camera that way. I mean, it's obvious, not even pretend.
Exactly. But like just to be wacky, that to me, it's almost like these sounds coming out. I always liken it to like, as them walking up a building and these surprises, people coming out of the window, and it was just wackiness, but it was so interesting too. Like, you don't take the song that seriously, but it's something that, if it's on my turntable, it's in the mix, whatever comes on, I'm totally into it. So, cool. So yeah, just some information. I mean, everyone really kind of knows the cause, but just humor me on it. But they are.
I
from
don't
Boston.
think. Sorry, and I'm speaking for myself here, but I don't think they're a fraction as big over in the UK as they are in America.
Okay.
That would be my guess. I could be wrong.
So Wiki says genres are new wave, power pop, synth rock. Yeah, they definitely got into power pop, and I think even less than power pop. as the years went on. But yes, we already covered that part already. What's really amazing about this album is that, I mean, I don't know what song didn't make it on the radio here in the United States. Just What I Needed, My Best Friend's
Yeah.
Girl, Good
Yeah,
Times, Good Times Roll. That is such a great song. I think there's other songs too. You're All I've Got Tonight. That I love that. You talk about drums, percussion, and all that is so good. That just really is the winner chicken dinner in that song. Um, I'm in Touch with Your World is track number 4 on the first side. Yeah, this was just a slam dunk, uh, great album. And it's really interesting too that, you know, Boston back in the late 70s, they were like rocking big time with like the great groups that were, I mean, Boston, the actual band, Boston came out, I think 1976 with his debut album. I mean, you know, what the hell was it with Boston bands with their debut albums? I mean, it was
that was
just,
an outstanding album.
that's
that was.
outstanding too. I love that. I love that album. And it's just almost every song is like you've heard it. So it's like, you know, I don't think there's any hidden track you can ever grab from that album and react to, right? Yeah. And I just, you know, I love the first 2 albums, which is The Cars and then Candy-O. Candy-O, the actual song Candy-O is like one of my favorite songs. It's so good. The guitar on that is smoking. Elliot Eastman is the lead guitarist on this band. You got Rick Ocasek, who's rhythm guitar, sings on this song. You got Benjamin Orr, who plays bass. He does a lot of their songs. Probably will probably surprise a lot of people with some of the songs that he's actually sung on. You have Greg Hawkes, who plays keys and everything. So it's really interesting too. There's this video. I was going to give it to you, and then I decided to give you this version, which is just sort of the album cover, because the song, the music sounds really good, and the video version I'm talking about is like it's the band. You know, they did some sort of studio appearance somewhere, and they're kind of going through the motions with, you know, with the guitar playing and the lip syncing and the whole thing. It looks really good. To me, it's just distracting because you got this guy Greg, who's at the keyboards, and then he's doing
all the.
and he's doing almost every sound you hear. He's trying to mimic that or do that. Yeah, he's doing that woo with that whistle thing, woo, and then all these other sounds, and then he's doing this and that. And his hands are all over the place, you know. And then you got Elliot Eastman, who's doing some guitar kind of effects, and he's doing this, and the camera keeps going back to all these guys as they're trying to, like, you know, cover every single sound that you hear. And to me, it's just distracting. You know, to me, I think you potentially would have been maybe into the song, but you would have been like looking at everything. And I think the song is actually really good enough to kind of like, you know, go back to that later on after you actually know the song. But it's really funny watching this guy, Greg, just like his hands flying all over the place and these things he's shoving in his mouth. And he's just trying to, yeah.
It sounds like a special effects guy in an old radio show, just doing like the old stomping in the gravel and doing the knock at the door, making every sound, you know, in the whole scene. Yeah, cool.
And I could be wrong on this. I could be wrong, and I don't want to take the time right now to figure it out. But I do think, although I can hover over him right now. Yeah. So David Robertson, the drummer for the Cars, he actually was a drummer for the Modern Lovers.
Really?
Yeah, and we just did a reaction to him. Yeah. So like the keyboardist, right, went over to Talking Heads, and the drummer here goes over to the Cars. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, pretty interesting, right? Yeah, I didn't pull up the lyrics, so I'm not gonna waste time on that. But you can go check that out yourself. But yeah, I mean, am I a big Cars fan? No, I think I probably already sort of you know, blew my cover or whatever you want to call it, like on like how I feel about them. You know, it's almost like Jethro Tull. Jethro Tull, I loved Jethro Tull, the first few albums, and when they were that blues rock band. And then I found, you know, they started getting into the progressive, and I thought it was interesting. And then when they went full blown, that's when I kind of, you know, blew out. It's just kind of like I went that way. Yeah, as they went that way, I went that way. So the same thing with the Cars. But hey, you know what? You know, it's still the music. This music is there
Yeah.
forever. You know,
Yeah.
always there. And so it doesn't mean that I'm like, oh, that's you know what? Everything else they did before that sucked. No, if I loved it then I love it now. So cool. I'm really glad you like it.
Excellent. Do you want to take us out?
No, you take us out.
Okay. Well, thanks for this, Greg. I really enjoyed this quirky little trip with the Cars. Everybody out there, thanks for watching this. And if you liked it, let us know. Hit the like button. Wherever it is, it there? Or just poking Greg's head. Subscribe if you haven't already. And and that being said, thanks again for watching. And we'll see every single one of you on the next episode of Into
Into the music.